guys, we've got a fun review today. If you couldn't tell by the title or my shirt, we're talking some Thor Love and Thunder. After we've lost so many of the original Avengers team, I am glad that Thor is still around, especially after that reinvigoration he had in Thor Ragnarok. And then on top of that, you add in Mighty Thor, Jane Foster, and Gorr the God Butcher. I mean, all of those elements had me super pumped to go into this film. Thor Love and Thunder follows Thor once again, interrupted from his retirement by Gorr the God Butcher, who's intent on killing all of the gods, which leads to him recruiting Valkyrie, Korg, and a returning Jane Foster as Mighty Thor on an adventure to stop Gorr the God Butcher's path of vengeance before it's too late. Over the years since Thor Ragnarok released, I've noticed quite a chunk of people weren't a big fan of Taika Waititi's style and how he approached Thor as a character, so that could cause some concerns for those folks due to the fact that Taika Waititi is now not just directing, but he's writing the film along with it. However, if you're a big fan of Thor Ragnarok, I think this is like Thor Ragnarok style cranked up to 11. You truly feel the heart just pouring off of the screen with Taika's writing in Love and Thunder. There's quite a bit of emotional heft in the story as well when we explore some of the more serious subject matter in the journey. A lot of which I was kind of surprised to see in an MCU film involving stuff with the gods and life-affirming sentiments, but it's the way that we blend all of that stuff together with your usual big bombastic action spectacle you expect from the MCU blockbusters, and that unique style of humor that only someone like Taika Waititi has that makes this entry feel a bit more special. Both Thor Ragnarok and Thor Love and Thunder just goes to show, at least in my opinion, that Taika Waititi probably is the best when it comes to writing Thor and a lot of these other characters. The way that he writes Thor and the humor he brings to the table, I think makes him a much more intriguing character to follow, because I did like the more Shakespearean Thor we got in the earlier on entries, but I think there's a lot more depth to his character in these last two involving Taika. Speaking more on the humor is very much Taika Waititi this time around, and if you weren't a big fan of Taika Waititi's humor and style that he's brought to many of his other films, I think that a good amount of the jokes here aren't going to land for you. Even as a huge fan of his materials, there were a couple times that the jokes didn't land for me all that much, but I was laughing so hard at some of the situations we had here with Thor. Thor and Korg, I think, have some of the best humor in the entire film. The majority of the characters in the film, even like the Guardians of the Galaxy, Mighty Thor, and all of them, get some good jokes, plus those damn goats that you see in the trailers. They might be a little bit cringe for some folks, but I thought they were a welcome addition to the cast. When you really think about it, it is kind of impressive that Chris Hemsworth has been able to portray Thor as long as he has, because he is one of the OG Avengers. We have lost many of them. He's been able to stick around and have some really great performances all throughout the MCU phases. I think this might be my personal favorite portrayal of him in the character, the role of Thor. As usual, he brings so much charisma to the character, but I think it's beautifully done the way that we move his story forward in Love and Thunder, as we explore him a bit deeper than we're used to, but it's also just a lot of fun seeing him have these moments with the Guardians of the Galaxy, who aren't in the film as much as I kind of anticipated, but I mean, that isn't their film after all. But the best element to me is having Thor reconnect with Jane Foster in Thor Love and Thunder, kind of recapturing that romance angle, because I love these two characters together, but let's be honest, the romance between them in the earlier on Thor films wasn't the most well done, but I think Taika has done the best here to recapture any sort of romantic flames between the two of them, and give us probably the best interpretations of these characters so far within the MCU. There's also the whole fact that Taika Waititi decided to give us some Chris Hemsworth nudity, so if that's something that means something to you, if you were excited for that blurred shot in the trailer, it's not blurred in the actual movie, so consider that a win if you're looking forward to that shot in Thor Love and Thunder. As someone who is an avid comic book reader and has actually read the runs that Jason Aaron did for the Mighty Thor and Thor, I think they did a great job portraying these characters in live action, not only doing justice to their characters, but also the fact that we recreate so much stuff from those comic book runs. I recommend, if you haven't already, read them after seeing Thor Love and Thunder, because it is really awesome just to see the book come to life on the big screen. I'm not really sure where to even begin talking about Natalie Portman returning as Jane Foster, getting to portray Mighty Thor. I thought she was so fantastic getting this much bigger active role. Not only is it great to just see her kick ass as Mighty Thor, but she looks pretty great doing it. I know there's a lot of man babies online trying to lie and speculate that her muscles are fake, but she did get in shape for the role. It's been a long enough time for her to lose that muscle mass. As far as I can tell, the only CGI they really used on her was to make her taller, so she's close enough in stature to Chris Hemsworth because Chris Hemsworth is much taller in real life than Natalie Portman is. Regardless, the dynamic between her and Thor in this film is so charming. It's one of the best elements of the film in my opinion. It almost felt like a sort of MCU rom-com at times with some of the interactions they have with one another, and it's just amazing to see them fight side by side together as Thor and Mighty Thor. I think Mighty Thor looks great in live action. Even with a shorter runtime than usual and all these different characters running around, I think they did a good enough job paying attention to detail with addressing the cancer storyline with Jane Foster and Thor Love and Thunder. I definitely left this film wanting more Mighty Thor in the MCU because every scene that she was in, she was so great, whether it be her interactions with Thor, and I think the scene stealers here were some of those scenes that she had with King Valkyrie. That was great getting to see Valkyrie be king of Asgard. I'd be lying if I didn't want a little bit more of her out of Thor Love and Thunder, but I think with the screen time that she did get, it was pretty good. Now, Gore the God Butcher is such a fascinating character in the comic books, the way that he's portrayed, and I think that Christian Bale completely knocked it out of the park here with his portrayal of the character, which, I mean, isn't that surprising coming from Christian Bale, but I think he showcases so much range as the character, this relentless, dark, menacing character that I truly was disturbed by, while also having his arc be somewhat sympathetic. I think that's what makes him such an intriguing villain, especially in Thor Love and Thunder, because of the fact we do understand his motivations for why he wants to kill all of the gods. I'm not entirely sure yet where I would rank him among all of the other MCU villains. I think he does deserve a lot of praise though, so I'd at least probably put him in the top 10 at least on the first watch. Partly due to the fact I think that some of the action sequences involving Gore the God Butcher and Thor Love and Thunder are pretty great visually. Stylistically, I think a lot of the action, especially in the climax, was really cool looking just because of the use of color. I think that really enhanced it for me personally. I do think there is an over excess of CGI green screens in the film, especially in the climax, which it kind of, it's definitely noticeable in the film, which is kind of bothersome, but it didn't completely ruin my experience like some other MCU entries in the past. While I do appreciate that Love and Thunder is on the shorter side compared to a lot of the other MCU projects, I almost feel like that shorter runtime here, a little under 2 hours, is to the film's detriment, because I feel like the pacing is kind of inconsistent all around in Thor Love and Thunder, as we move so quickly through some of these story beats that I feel like needed a bit more time to breathe, in particular in the middle section of the film. And the film does take a little bit to kind of hook you into the story. The first act isn't bad by any means, but like I said, it didn't hook me in as much as I wanted to, but that could just be a me thing. But overall, Thor Love and Thunder is another fun, action-packed adventure filled with great spectacle, and wears its heart on its sleeve. With everything that we set up for a potential Thor 5, it does have me excited to just see the future of a lot of these characters. There are 2 post-credit scenes that are probably some of the best post-credit scenes we've had in a while, and that's coming from someone who actually didn't mind a lot of the post-credit scenes in some of the more recent MCU films, but the ramifications of these post-credit scenes is what has me excited to talk about them with you guys in the comment section down below when the film does come out. Now you've heard my thoughts on Thor Love and Thunder, make sure you share your thoughts down below. Are you excited for Thor Love and Thunder? Not excited? And when you do get a chance to check out the film, do you like the film, not like the film? Share any thoughts or theories you may have where we're going to go with the future of Thor. Also, because part of the fun is to have a conversation with you guys in the comment section down below. Thank you guys always check out the reviews. I really do appreciate that. Be sure to like a video. Also, subscribe to the channel so you always update reviews, reactions, unboxings, and more. For the next time, I'll see you guys later.